Chapter 511. Are you sure this Luo Qi is evil? Dr. Gui Tong. Looking at the portrait of the youth in front of him, Tianyu Emperor's eyes widened. If it weren't for the fact that he was holding onto the dragon table's armrest, he would have fallen off the dragon throne. My God! This fact was simply too horrifying. Luo Qi was actually evil. Dr. Gui Tong. And this Luo Qi, Tianyu Emperor couldn't help but look at the portrait in front of him again. His forehead was covered in sweat. He couldn't tell if it was from fear or panic. Luo Qingtong. This portrait was Luo Qingtong's portrait. Although she was in men's clothing, Tianyu Emperor had a very deep impression of this future daughter-in-law that he was very dissatisfied with. The person who painted the painting used a skillful brush to portray the charm of Luo Qingtong, who was also Luo Qi, to the fullest. This Luo Qi was clearly Luo Qingtong. Tianyu Emperor felt a wave of dizziness. He'd heard that Blackfield's people were looking for evil Dr. Gui Tong. But at that time, evil Dr. Gui Tong didn't have a portrait. Later on, Yi Qianxian drew a portrait of Luo Qi and had people look for her. But because everything was done in secret, this portrait wasn't circulated around the Blackfield. Tianyu Emperor had no way of knowing. This time, he got this portrait of Luo Qi because he didn't know how he'd offended evil Dr. Gui Tong, causing her to declare that she wouldn't accept any orders from Tianyu's royal family. He wanted to find the reason and resolve this conflict. But he didn't expect to find this portrait. If Luo Qi was evil Dr. Gui Tong, then didn't that mean Luo Qingtong was evil Dr. Gui Tong? My God! No wonder she had such a big grudge with Tianyu's royal family. Apart from Tianyu's royal family's orders, she'd accept all other orders. No wonder evil Dr. Gui Tong would wipe out the Fei family in one night. Even House Yin Yu and Blackfield would support her, forbidding them from taking revenge. If Luo Qingtong was evil Dr. Gui Tong, then everything made sense. The royal family's neglect and bullying of the Luo family these years, and Yuan Shui's bullying of Luo Qingtong, almost taking her life. Emperor Tianyu couldn't help but break out in cold sweat whenever he thought about it. With such a deep grudge, Luo Qingtong didn't skin Tianyu's because she was still of age. He was still worried about the Luo clan. Emperor Tianyu was a cunning old fox. He knew what Luo Qingtong was worried about. Quick, go ask the ancestors to come out. I have something to discuss with them. Of course, Tianyu of Tianyu's he's of S. Outside the hall, the Tianyu Empress, who had come to pay her respects, heard the commotion and hurriedly rushed in. Your Majesty, what happened to you? You still have the nerve to say that. It's all because of you. Seeing her come in, Emperor Tianyu was furious. Originally, he didn't want to see Luo Qingtong, his future daughter-in-law, and she wouldn't cause any trouble. But it was this woman's good daughter who offended Luo Qingtong so much. Not only that, she even sent the verdant tiger guards in Fiji to wipe out the Luo family behind his back, causing Luo Qingtong to have a death grudge. Otherwise, with evil Dr. Gui Tong's identity, how could Tianyu's royal family be free and unfettered? She's the apple of the Holy Dynasty's eye, someone the Blackfield would do anything to protect. Chapter 512. Emperor Tianyu thought. He didn't know where he got the strength from, but he stood up and kicked the Empress, sending her flying a dozen meters away. She was caught off guard and almost couldn't get up. Your Majesty, what did I do wrong? The Empress of Tianyu knocked her head on a nearby ornament and started bleeding. She looked at Emperor Tianyu in a daze, not knowing why she was treated like this. What did you do wrong? You still have the face to ask. Look at what this is. Emperor Tianyu said, and threw the portrait of Luo Qi in front of Empress Tianyu. Do you recognize what this is? He gritted his teeth and looked at her. Isn't this Luo Qingtong's portrait? The Empress looked at the portrait. She naturally recognized Luo Qingtong. But why did His Majesty draw her as a man? The Empress still didn't understand. Haha, Luo Qingtong's portrait. Emperor Tianyu said, and then flipped the table in front of him. This came from Blackfield. It's Luo Qi's portrait. And this Luo Qi is the evil Dr. Ghost Eye that Blackfield has been looking for. Now do you know what you did wrong? Emperor Tianyu stared at her with bulging eyes. He looked like he wanted to eat her alive. Do you know why evil Dr. Ghost Eye wants to destroy your Fey family? Because she is Luo Qingtong. Evil Dr. Ghost Eye is Luo Qingtong. You bitch, you've caused a disaster for our imperial family. Empress Tianyu's eyes widened when she heard this. What? She looked at the portrait in front of her with a shocked expression. In an instant, it was as if she had been burned by fire. She suddenly threw the portrait to the ground. Impossible. How can Luo Qingtong be evil Dr. Ghost Eye? She's just a daughter of a marquis. How can she have that kind of ability? Her mother was also long gone. Tianyu's empress stopped abruptly at this point. That's right. Luo Qingtong's mother was no longer around, but her medical skills were most likely passed down. Otherwise, where did Luo Qingtong get this kind of ability? But why didn't Luo Qingtong reveal it all these years? If she knew Luo Qi's talent was on par with her mother's, she wouldn't have treated her like this. She even caused the destruction of the Fei family. Thinking of this, hatred rose in Empress Tianyu's heart. Your Majesty, I think Luo Qingtong has long wanted to attack the royal family of Tianyu. Otherwise, he wouldn't have hidden his talent from us for so many years and pretended to be bullied by us. She said fiercely. Since we've already formed a grudge with her, we might as well go all the way and control her and the entire Luo family in our hands and make her work for us. The Empress of Tianyu's expression was abnormally sinister. Right now, no one knows she's evil Dr. Ghost Eye, and she's the rightful daughter-in-law of our imperial family. We'll use marriage as an excuse to force her to submit. Let's control that old fart from the Luo family first. We'll see what she can do. At that time, everything she has will be ours. That's right. Chapter 513. An elder helped the Tianyu Empress up. Empress is right. Luo Qingtong has betrayed us. She came to our Tianyu imperial family to break off the engagement. Now that she has the identity of evil Dr. Guitong, she won't put us in her eyes. That elder snorted. Since she has an engagement with our imperial family, she will be a member of our imperial family in life and a ghost in death. This marriage must be carried out to the end. Not only that, everything she has, including everything she gave to the Luo family, will belong to our imperial family. That's right. Another elder's eyes flashed with greed. Evil Dr. Guitong's identity is no small matter. Since we have a grudge against her, we can't let her go. Fortunately, no one knows who she is now. Even the Dark Domain and the other major forces of the Holy Dynasty don't know. Luo Qingtong has hidden herself so well. She has benefited the royal family and is also a great opportunity for our Tianyu Empire. If we can control her, our empire will become a faction of the Holy Dynasty in the future. It will be easy for us to become a county. We may even reach a higher status. You know, she is an alchemist, and Luo Qingtong's medical skills have already surpassed her mother's. The elder said coldly. They already saw Luo Qingtong as a fish on the chopping board, ready to be slaughtered. Amidst the discussion, Emperor of Tianyu's chaotic thoughts slowly cleared up. According to the uncles, you want to control Luo Qingtong completely? He looked at the crowd and asked slowly. That's right. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us. No one knows her identity, only we have seen through it. Your Majesty, there is a saying, if the heavens want to give they must take. Otherwise there will be trouble. Luo Qingtong's identity has been seen through by us. This is a gift from the heavens to our imperial family. One of the elders laughed. That's right. No one knows her identity, so it's convenient for us to act. Another royal family elder looked at Emperor Tianyu and said, otherwise, with evil Dr. Ghost Eye's identity, once Luo Qingtong decides not to hide anymore, it will be a disaster for the royal family of Tianyu. What did it mean to be a highly sought-after alchemist in the Black Field and the Holy Dynasty? This meant that Luo Qingtong could destroy Tianyu's royal family with just one word. As the saying goes, an innocent man gets into trouble because of his wealth. Luo Qingtong didn't want to be the object of everyone's covetous eyes, so she tried to hide her identity. But what if one day she didn't want to hide anymore? If that was the case, then with the other party's medical skills and strength, Tianyu's royal family would be no match for him. Not to mention anything else, just the existence of the Black Field was enough to completely erase Tianyu's royal family from the map of True Spill continent. And the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin wouldn't even ask about it. What kind of cruel reality was this? This also made Emperor Tianyu realize that besides controlling Luo Qingtong, there was no other way. From the very beginning, their engagement with Luo Qingtong was a dead knot. The only way was to let go of their engagement with Luo Qingtong, and then bow their heads to make up for the debt they owed to the Luo family and Luo Qingtong. But even then, they might not be able to obtain Luo Qingtong's complete forgiveness. Moreover, how could this compare to the freedom of having Luo Qingtong in their hands? That should be the glory of their royal family. Good. Emperor Tianyu slowly nodded. Chapter 514. At the same time, in the land beyond the clouds. In the northwest, where the All Creations dragon root was born. Buzz! As the ball of light in the center suddenly broke out of the ground, the masters who had been waiting for a long time flew out and rushed towards the ball of light. Swish! 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 A group of people suddenly walked over from afar. Boom! As the man at the front waved his sleeves, the surrounding air suddenly cracked and rippled. Ming Zun! Looking at the figure that appeared, the surrounding experts were all on high alert. Ming Zun, you have never participated in the fight for treasures. Why are you making an exception this time? The silver-robed, black-haired figure that appeared in front of them was like an indomitable spirit. The dark golden mask covered the man's handsome face that was like a celestial being's. The domineering aura that emanated from his body seemed to be able to split heaven and earth. That terrifying aura was enough to intimidate the experts who were fighting for the All Creations dragon root. It was a kind of aura that was blessed by nature and supreme. I have no intention of fighting with you. I just want to borrow the holy brush of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. As Yi Qianxian spoke, his gaze passed over the All Creations dragon root and looked at the elder in red who was holding the huge holy brush. The elder was the one that Luo Qingtong had seen in the Blackfield subcity. He was the one who had given her the purple recommendation card for the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. When he heard that Yi Qianxian wanted to borrow his holy brush, he immediately laughed out loud. Sure. Ming Zun, I gladly agree to lend it to you. However, Ming Zun, please help me obtain the All Creations dragon root. My old bones can't withstand the torture of illness. The elder in red said with a smile. Yi Qianxian didn't say anything. He just swept his gaze across the crowd. Did you all hear what he said? This All Creations dragon root. I want to obtain it. As he spoke, he suddenly waved his sleeves. Boom, boom, boom. When the word take was spoken, Yi Qianxian's voice caused the air to explode. The ball of light that enveloped the all-encompassing dragon root, along with the countless experts' divine senses and powers attached to the ball of light, exploded. Shwa! Yi Qianren raised his hand and caught the 10,000 elephant dragon root firmly in his hand. At the same time, the experts who were competing with him for the all-mammoth dragon root were sent flying while vomiting blood. Their eyes were filled with horror as they looked at him. It was said that there was a problem with Ming Zun's strength, and that he could only display 30 to 40% of his full strength. Who would have thought that he was still so powerful? It was simply terrifying. The group of experts failed in the competition and left one after another. Yi Qianxian took the 10,000 elephant dragon root and walked to the Grand Dean of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. Find the whereabouts of this qi. He avoided the Grand Dean's hand that was about to take the 10,000 elephant dragon root and released the qi of the holy brush spirit that Elder Chu had released. It's the qi of the holy brush spirit released by the Holy Academy. Which idiot offended you? Or did he offend that evil Dr. Kid? The Grand Dean looked at the qi in amazement. By the way, I left a purple recommendation letter for that kid. She should have gone to enroll in the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, right? The Grand Dean asked cheerfully as he investigated. Yi Qianxian looked at him with indifference. Enroll? She had indeed gone. However, it was not that woman who went, but her big, silly subordinate. However, Yi Qianxian would not tell him about this. The man nodded lightly. The Grand Supreme Dean was overjoyed. Soon he found the source of the aura. Yes, it's the qi of a tutor surnamed Chu from the Tianyu Empire branch, he said while stroking his beard. Chew. Yi Qianxian narrowed his eyes. Tianyu branch. That woman's identity seemed to be on the verge of being revealed. Chapter 5:15. Bam! Luo Qingtong had just entered the Kaiyuan mystic realm and was about to leave with little Overlord Yuan and the others when she suddenly felt her body sinking, as if she had fallen into a black hole. It's a space-time trap. When opening a mystic realm, the space is unstable, and it's most likely to appear. But why are you the only one who fell in? This is a trap. It should be man-made. Little Nether Venerable and Little Pig crawled out from her sleeve. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold. She recalled that when she was about to meet up with little Overlord Yuan and the others, she was stopped by Shi Qingqing and the others for no reason. Shi Qingqing was all smiles and said that she came to say goodbye to her and told her to be careful in the mystic realm. She must have deliberately squeezed her into this trap at that time. Hold me tight. The surroundings were turned upside down. Luo Qingtong was not at ease with them staying in her sleeve. She hugged Yi Qianxian with one hand and Little Pig with the other. The latter used its little hooves to grip her clothes tightly, and in a burst of "Ao, it fell to the ground with her with a thud. Where is this? Looking at the fiery surroundings, Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed slightly. I don't know. Little Pig groaned and got up from the ground. It had never been to such a training ground, so how could it know where it was? But looking at the situation, this should be the deeper part of the Kaiyuan mystic realm. It groaned and said, since those people have bad intentions towards you, this must be a dangerous place in the Kaiyuan mystic realm. Or a very dangerous place. Little Pig had just finished speaking. Roar! A fiery red phantom aura suddenly rose from the surroundings. The phantom was blurry, and it was hard to tell what kind of monster it was. However, it had sharp teeth and thorns all over its body. The breath it exhaled was hot and sharp like a knife. Puff! It exhaled at Luo Qingtong, and the surrounding space was instantly cut into pieces by countless sharp blades. Rip! Luo Qingtong leaped and dodged the attack with little Mingzun in her arms. Her shoulder was cut by the hot air and the saber wind. The attack of a middle-level martial king. Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed. She raised her hand and summoned the life and death yin-yang sword. With a swoosh, the roaring flame cut was unleashed. The fiery red monster was split into two halves. Hiss! Bursts of aura burst forth from the fiery red monster, and quickly condensed into a crystal in the air that exuded a powerful aura. Is it soul power? Luo Qingtong looked at the crystal on the ground, and picked it up with Yi Qianxian in her arms. She tossed it in her hand, and found that the soul power in this crystal was very gentle and nourishing. It also had the effect of purifying one's soul and innate talent. There was still a little bit of spirituality left in that soul power. Could it be the consciousness that was derived from that fiery red shadow? If that's the case, these crystals are good stuff. Soul power was the easiest to be contaminated, even if it was absorbed and transformed by the 1,000-year-old soul guiding wood. However, the power of these crystals was very gentle and easy to absorb. It was very beneficial for warriors and soul cultivators. It seems that this should be the depths of the Kaiyuan mystic realm, where the elites of the big forces come to train. Luo Qingtong thought as she put away the crystal. Chapter 5:16. Yuan Mo, you people from the Empire of Qin's holy court, don't go overboard. Everyone who saw the Yang Soul Stone should have a share. What right do you people from the Empire of Qin's holy court have to monopolize it? You even dare to stab me in the back. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes when she heard that voice. She peeked out from behind the rock she was hiding behind to take a look. She saw two groups of people confronting each other in an open space not far from her. The group of people with their backs facing Luo Qingtong wore silver-gray robes. Their faces couldn't be seen clearly, but the group facing Luo Qingtong was none other than Yuan Mo's group, whom Luo Qingtong had met before. They were even old acquaintances. Luo Qingtong looked at the girl in a yellow robe beside Yuan Mo. Her face was covered with a light-colored veil, but the left side of her face could still be seen. Her lips curved slightly. Wasn't this Yuan Mo's junior sister? Her face hadn't healed yet? That's right. How could the human face blister formed by the yin energy of the 1,000-year soul guiding would be so easy to heal? As for the people beside UNMO, they weren't any different from the ones she had seen in the Blackfield city. It seemed like they had already been subdued by him. It was truly a small world for enemies. She didn't expect to meet them again in the Kaiyuan secret realm. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes slightly. Based on the fact that we were the ones who obtained the Yang Soul Stone, it should belong to us. That yellow-robed girl said confidently. The rules of the Yin Yang Soul Mountain are as such. The Yang Soul Stone belongs to whoever obtained it. What's wrong with us taking what we should have? Mu Ruyu, you have the nerve to say that? The leading youth that was confronting her sneered. We were the ones who surrounded that Yang Soul King beast first. What right do you have to fight it? And what right do you have to take that Yang Soul Stone? Even if we, the Four Seas Court, don't get anything in the end, it's not up to you to interfere. That Yang Soul King beast was the one who attacked me. You didn't take good care of your own prey and you're blaming me? Mu Ruyu sneered. Don't talk about that Yang Soul Stone. Even if I don't want it, I won't give it to you. The atmosphere between the two sides instantly became extremely tense. Luo Qingtong frowned as she looked at the crystal in Mu Ruyu's hand. The soul stone that Yu Ruyu was the soul stone? Yu Ruyu Yuyui's Ru have a soul king beast? S Ruyu. Yu Ru use Yui use. Bang! Use. Luo Qingtong Mu Ruyu's eyes moved slightly. The instant the huge rock shattered, she tore off a corner of her robe and used it to cover her face. She then rolled out of the range of the huge rock. Bang! Luo Qingtong Mu Ruyu made her move and killed that Yang Soul King beast. She then collected the Yang Soul Stone that had fallen. Who is it? Hearing the commotion, the two sides who were at loggerheads instantly looked over. Miss, it's you? Seeing Luo Qingtong roll out from behind the rock, UNMO was slightly stunned. A trace of clear surprise flashed in his eyes. Mu Ruyu immediately yelled. Chapter 517. When Mu Ruyu saw Luo Qingtong, she hated that she couldn't eat her alive. Mu Ruyu still hadn't recovered from the poison she had put on her face previously. She still dared to appear before her. Mu Ruyu raised her hand to attack Luo Qingtong, but the latter easily dodged her attack. The people of the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy are still so unreasonable. They like to snatch other people's things. Luo Qingtong said coldly, as she put away the Yang Soul Stone in her hand. She was referring to how Mu Ruyu wanted to snatch the heart of the 1,000-year soul guiding wood from her. But in the eyes of the crowd, it was Mu Ruyu who wanted to snatch her Yang Soul Stone. When they thought about how Mu Ruyu had previously snatched their Yang Soul Stone, the people of the Four Seas Pavilion instantly despised her. They looked at Mu Ruyu and said coldly, instead of snatching in the dark this time, you want to snatch openly? Can the people of the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy be so shameless? The leading youth of the Four Seas Pavilion directly said to Luo Qingtong, Lady, come over to our side. I want to see if the people of the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy dare to kill us and snatch our treasures. Since both sides had the same enemy, they instantly became enemies and forgot to ask about Luo Qingtong's background. Those who could enter this secret realm were either geniuses from the various large powers of the Sacred Empire or students of the Sacred Academy's main school. It didn't matter which school she was from. But the most important thing was that she had a grudge against Mu Ruyu. Luo Qingtong smiled in response as she walked over. Bitch! Mu Ruyu gritted her teeth as she looked at her. She then glared at the leading youth of the Four Seas Pavilion and said, Gong Xinghai, are you determined to go against us? Look at what you're saying. How are we going against you? Don't you, Miss Mu, rely on the fact that you have a pair of good parents to go against others everywhere? Why? Since you can't snatch it, are you trying to threaten us? The Four Seas Pavilion disciple called Gong Xinghai mocked. Unfortunately, we are not students of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. We won't fall for your tricks. When Luo Qingtong heard those people insulting Mu Ruyu, her lips curled up slightly. Bitch! At this moment, Mu Ruyu turned her head to look at her. When she saw the smile on her face, she instantly scolded her with a vicious expression. Her beautiful face also looked like a malicious ghost. Yi Qianxian, who was in Luo Qingtong's embrace, had a cold expression on his face. He looked at Mu Ruyu with an indescribably cold gaze through his half-mask. Mu Ruyu, right? He remembered her. Luo Qingtong's expression was also very cold. Her 5 fingers moved slightly. Right at this moment, screech! A sharp cry suddenly came from afar. Sun Soul Emperor Beast. Hearing this cry, everyone's face instantly lit up with joy. Brother Gong, Yuan Mo, who was originally looking at Luo Qingtong, turned to Gong Xinghai and said, "My junior sister was in the wrong this time. I apologize on her behalf. The Sun Soul Emperor Beast has appeared. Both of us aren't its match. How about we work together to kill it? You must return that Yang Soul Stone as well." Gong Xinghai's heart was also moved, but he didn't relent. All right. Yuan Mo looked at Mu Ruyu as he said that. Junior sister, hand over the Yang Soul Stone. Senior brother. Mu Ruyu gritted her teeth and stomped her feet. In the end, she still tossed the Yang Soul Stone to Gong Xinghai. For you, she said in a fit of pique. Chapter 518. He naturally said that to annoy Luo Qingtong. But it was also because he felt a trace of the Sun Soul King Beast's aura when she charged out from behind the huge rock. Luo Qingtong's movements were too fast that he didn't see it clearly at that time. Moreover, these Sun Soul Beasts didn't have a physical body and were extremely hard to sense. He just had his suspicions. If she could really kill a Sun Soul King Beast so easily, then bringing her along would naturally save them a lot of trouble when dealing with the Sun Soul Emperor Beast. After all, the Sun Soul Emperor Beast was already a Spirit Emperor expert. It wasn't something they could easily kill. They had to team up in order to kill that Sun Soul King Beast just now. A person who could travel alone in the Yin Yang Soul Mountain was naturally someone worth befriending. Otherwise, why would Gong Xinghai be so kind as to go against Mu Ruyu for a girl that suddenly appeared out of nowhere? Even though it was to annoy the other party, that person had to be strong enough. All right. Luo Qingtong nodded and clenched her fist. She withdrew the few strands of energy that were originally ready to be unleashed. Her gaze swept past the human-faced ghost boils on the left side of Mu Ruyu's face. With a smile she said, "Let's go together." Humph. Pretentious. Mu Ruyu looked at Luo Qingtong with hatred in her heart. The ghastly boils on her face were caused by this girl. The Four Seas Pavilion actually wanted to bring her along. What can she do by herself? Gong Xinghai, since you insist on bringing her along, then for the Yang Soul Imperial Stone that we hunt later, her share will be provided by your Four Seas court. Once she said that, the expressions of the Four Seas Pavilion members instantly changed. Mu Ruyu's words were really too overbearing. If the other party contributed to killing the Sun Soul Emperor Beast together, why should the Four Seas Pavilion only contribute? Junior sister. Yuan Mo couldn't help but speak up when he saw the atmosphere between the two sides becoming tense again. Senior brother, don't say anything. Either they abandon this girl, or the Four Seas Pavilion will take full responsibility. Otherwise, any random person can come and take a share of the loot. What does the Four Seas Pavilion think of the Empire of Qin Holy Academy? Mu Ruyu said with disdain. Good. Gong Xinghai was also angered by her words. This young lady's share will come from our Four Seas court. Mu Ruyu, don't think we can't afford it. He looked at Luo Qingtong and asked, Miss, what's your name? Luo Qi. Good. Miss Luo Qi, you will follow our Four Seas Pavilion later. Gong Xinghai said. All right. Luo Qingtong's lips curved slightly. Since I'm following the Four Seas court, then the Yang Soul Stone that I hunt later won't belong to the holy court of the Empire of Qin, right? She looked at Mu Ruyu and the others as she said that. Of course not, Gong Xinghai said firmly. The elites of the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy are rich and overbearing. They wouldn't care about our measly Yang Soul stones. As he said that, he tossed the Yang Soul stone that he had just obtained from Mu Ruyu with a mocking expression. Luo Qingtong looked at Mu Ruyu's ashen face, and suddenly felt that the people of the Four Seas Pavilion were rather interesting. That's good. I can be at ease now. Luo Qingtong nodded. Humph. Let's talk about this after you hunt for the Yang Soul Soul Stone. Do you really think the Yang Soul Soul Stone is that easy to obtain? Mu Ruyu said with a mocking expression. Is this girl's first time in the Kai Yuan secret realm? She will know how hard it is to obtain the Yang Soul Soul Stone later. Shameless boasting. Chapter 519. Slap. 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 As the group chased after the Sun Soul Emperor beast, they encountered many Sun Soul King beasts along the way. The strange thing was that even though they were both hunting Sun Soul King beasts, Luo Qingtong's side had a much higher chance of obtaining a Sun Soul Soul Stone than the Empire of Qin's side. After killing a few Sun Soul King beasts in a row, the Empire of Qin's side didn't obtain a single Sun Soul Soul Stone. On the Four Seas Court side, as long as Luo Qingtong made a move, they would basically obtain a Sun Soul Soul Stone. This was because Luo Qingtong discovered that these Sun Soul King beasts had a core point in their bodies. Once this core point was broken, the power in the Sun Soul King beast's body would condense into a Sun Soul Soul Stone. And if they didn't hit it, their power would completely dissipate. This was also the reason why Luo Qingtong had obtained a Sun Soul Soul Stone when she killed 2 Sun Soul King beasts in a row. She had an eye technique, so she could naturally see the core point in the Sun Soul King beast's body. But the others could only rely on their luck. Luo Qingtong didn't reveal too much. Out of 3 or 4 attacks, she basically succeeded once. But even so, the accumulated Sun Soul Soul Stone was still very impressive, causing Mu Ruyu's eyes to turn red with anger. Bang! The group chased after the Sun Soul Emperor beast's aura and arrived at a dark red kernel. The Sun Soul Emperor beast's appearance was several times larger than the Sun Soul King beast, and its entire appearance was even more sinister. Another huge head grew out of its head, and spikes covered its entire body. Its entire body was brimming with astonishing power. Boom! The Sun Soul Emperor beast was surrounded by everyone. It instantly let out a sharp howl and attacked Luo Qingtong and the others. The scorching wind, accompanied by its breath, sprayed everywhere. Hot wind and strong qi were everywhere. Lady Luo, guard the periphery and wait for an opportunity to make a move. Gong Xinghai led the people from the Four Seas Court to surround it. Yuan Mo also led the people from the Empire of Qin's Sacred Court to surround it. Mu Ruyu stayed behind to guard the Empire of Qin's Sacred Court. The 2 teams surrounded it. Rumble! The group of people fought against the Sun Soul Emperor beast. Bang! Yuan Ma wielded a large cyan sword and fiercely attacked the Sun Soul Emperor beast. Every attack would cause the Sun Soul Emperor beast to suffer heavy injuries. Upper grade Martial King. Seeing Yuan Ma's cultivation, Luo Qingtong smiled. It seemed that Yuan Ma was living a good life in the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. His strength had increased so quickly. Generally speaking, the students who were admitted to the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin were not stronger than the Martial King realm. Only peerless geniuses could enter the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin at the Martial King realm. Yuan Mo's strength should not have reached the Martial King realm when he entered the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. He should have been at the Quasi-King realm at most. It was obvious that his strength had been raised in the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin, as expected of the Holy Court of the Holy Dynasty. Showy but impractical. Little Ming Zun's voice was cold as he squatted on Luo Qingtong's shoulder. He looked in Yuan Ma's direction with a cold gaze. This was the man who was engaged to this woman. If it weren't for Luo Qingtong's obvious disdain for Yuan Ma, Yi Qianxian didn't know if he would have been able to hold himself back from attacking him. This woman should be his. How could this man named Yuan Mo be able to have such an open and honorable engagement with her? The man who should be with her should be me. It could only be me. Chapter 520. Aha! Luo Qingtong nonchalantly replied. It is indeed a showy but impractical move. A bloody light flickered in Luo Qingtong's eyes. In her eye technique, Yuan Mo's and the others' attacks were full of flaws. With her current martial marquis strength and the life and death yin-yang sword, it wouldn't be a problem for her to kill the people in front of her. Even the weaknesses of the Emperor Sun Soul Beast were in her eyes. Under such circumstances, if Yuan Mo's attacks weren't showy but impractical, then what were? In this world, there were too few attacks that Luo Qingtong couldn't see through. Rumble. Following Yuan Mo's and Gong Xinghai's attacks, the Emperor Sun Soul Beast retreated in defeat. It started to run toward Luo Qingtong and Mu Ruyu, wanting to break out of the encirclement. Junior sister, Lady Luo, be careful not to let it escape. Yuan Mo raised his voice. He didn't know why, but when he called out Luo Qingtong's name, he felt a strange feeling in his heart. Luo, this surname always made him feel strange. Yuan Mo frowned slightly when he thought about his fiancée in the eastern border country. Yuan Mo felt vexed when he heard that she was in the Tianyu Branch Academy and had cheated to enter the trash class. He didn't have any feelings for his fiancée, but couldn't that girl know her place and not come out to embarrass him? He gave her a recommendation letter, and she pretended to be generous and gave it to someone else. It was fine if she gave it to someone else. If she had the ability, she could have entered the Tianyu Branch Academy with her own abilities. But she cheated and was assigned to the trash class. He, Yuan Mo, was known as the #1 genius in the Tianyu Branch Academy and was praised by everyone in the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy. But in the end, he had a fiancée who was assigned to the trash class. If others knew about this, they would laugh their heads off. Fortunately, that girl couldn't enter the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy. Otherwise, he wouldn't know where to put his face. Thinking about that, Yuan Mo's expression turned cold. When he looked at Luo Qingtong, his gaze became gentler. It would be great if his fiancée was Miss Luo Qi. He didn't know why, but ever since he saw Luo Qingtong outside the Black Field, Yuan Mo's heart couldn't calm down. He had seen many women, but none of them gave him the same feeling as Luo Qingtong. Carefree, wanton, evil soaring. From that moment on, his heart was moved. However, the other party clearly had no feelings for him. Seeing that Luo Qingtong didn't even look at him, Yuan Mo felt indescribably annoyed. At this moment, Luo Qingtong was completely focused on the Sun Soul Emperor Beast that was running towards them. The latter was much larger than the Sun Soul King Beast, and there were actually 3 core points in its body. Would he only be able to obtain a Yang Soul Imperial Stone if he hit all 3 spots? Or would he be able to obtain 3 Yang Soul Imperial Stones if he hit all 3 spots? Luo Qingtong already knew from Gong Xinghai and the others that the effects of a Yang Soul Imperial Stone were dozens of times better than a Yang Soul Soul Stone. Not only could it purify one's soul and talent, it could also allow martial artists and soul practitioners to break through while ignoring bottlenecks. Without the shackles of realms, this was definitely a good thing. If Luo Qingtong came alone, this Sun Soul Emperor Beast could still run if it couldn't beat her. But now, with so many people here and surrounding the other party, Luo Qingtong had to get a piece of Yang Soul Royal Stone. Boom! After clearly seeing the location of the 3 core points, Luo Qingtong raised her hand and pulled out the Wind and Thunder Sword. This Wind and Thunder Sword was a martial emperor-level spirit weapon. Although Song Chung had carved a bunch of useless inscription patterns on it, just the power of wind and thunder on it was already a top-grade martial emperor-level spirit weapon. Chapter 521. Clang. Following the unsheathing of the Wind and Lightning Sword, the sound of metal, wind, and thunder reverberated continuously, sonorous and powerful. Everyone was shocked when they heard it. It was especially so for those martial practitioners that practiced the wind and lightning technique. They could hear the pure power of the Wind and Lightning Sword. It was extremely powerful. They didn't expect her to possess such a powerful spiritual weapon. They didn't know which power's core genius disciple was from. It should be known that only Sage Realm experts could casually bestow such a grade of spiritual weapon. Experts of other realms wouldn't be so generous. Even if they wanted it, it would definitely be a treasured genius disciple. Just as the Four Seas Pavilion and the Empire of Qin's disciples' expressions changed slightly, Mu Ruyu suddenly gritted her teeth. She looked at Luo Qingtong with unconcealable jealousy and hatred. The whip in her hand was a martial emperor-grade spiritual weapon that her parents had personally requested. But its quality and effect were obviously inferior to Luo Qingtong's Wind and Lightning Sword. This woman had ruined her face and stolen her limelight. Mu Ruyu was enraged. Swish! She raised her hand and lashed out with her whip. When the whip was lashed toward the Sun Soul Emperor beast, it coincidentally swept the scorching wind blades that it had spat out toward Luo Qingtong. At the same time, the tip of the whip was like a poisonous dragon emerging from its lair. It seemed to be faintly discernible as it swept toward Luo Qingtong, blocking her attack. "Lady Luo, be careful!" Gong Xinghai immediately shouted when he felt that there was something wrong with Mu Ruyu's whip. At the same time, he glared at Mu Ruyu and said, "Mu Ruyu, what are you doing?" "What am I doing? I'm intercepting the Sun Soul Emperor beast." Mu Ruyu snickered. After sweeping the scorching wind blades toward Luo Qingtong, she leaped forward and lashed her whip toward the injured Sun Soul Emperor beast. It was obvious that she wanted to let Luo Qingtong take on all the attacks while she killed the Sun Soul Emperor beast. Luo Qingtong's eyes turned slightly cold when she saw Mu Ruyu's actions. Swish! Her body moved slightly as she dodged Mu Ruyu's attack. At the same time, the 5 fingers on her left hand moved. Following the movement of Luo Qingtong's left hand, the left side of Mu Ruyu's face instantly twitched in pain. It hurts. She clutched the left side of her face and twitched violently. The veil on her face fell off. In an instant, the countless human face ghost boils on the left side of her face wriggled and appeared in front of everyone. "TSK. Disgusting. What the hell is that?" Seeing the continuously wriggling rotting human face on Mu Ruyu's face, the members of the Four Seas Pavilion revealed unbearable disgust. Even the people from the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin turned their heads away and didn't look at Mu Ruyu. Even though they had seen it many times, they still couldn't look directly at the human face ghost soar on Mu Ruyu's face. It was too disgusting. So painful. "Slut, what did you do to me?" Mu Ruyu covered her face as she shrieked in pain. "It must be that slut's doing. These things should have already been treated and put to sleep. As long as I can obtain enough Sun Soul stones this time, these ghastly things on my face will be healed." Luo Qingtong had indeed used the Yin energy of the 1,000-year soul guiding wood to revive those human face ghost sores. "Who asked Mu Ruyu to do this to me? It's impolite not to reciprocate." She had wanted to make a move on Mu Ruyu before, but she had temporarily stopped because of the appearance of the Sun Soul Emperor beast. She didn't expect that Mu Ruyu would still attack herself. Luo Qingtong's eyes were ice cold. Boom! While she was activating the human face ghost sores on Mu Ruyu's face, the sword light in her right hand struck the Sun Soul Emperor beast. But due to Mu Ruyu's obstruction, that attack didn't kill the Sun Soul Emperor beast. Chapter 522. Rumble. All of a sudden, the surrounding air exploded violently. Large amounts of black clouds rolled in the sky. The air in the surroundings surged and the earth shook. "What's going on?" Yuan Mo and the others, who had rushed over to attack the Spirit Emperor beast, swayed. Yuan Ma's cyan greatsword dimmed in an instant and fell into his hand. A faint black aura coiled around the cyan sword. Death aura. Yuan Mo's expression changed drastically when he saw the black aura coiling around the cyan sword. Rumble. The tremors in the sky became more obvious. In the distance, large amounts of black clouds soared and formed a large black mountain. It overlapped with the area they were at. A blood-red crescent moon suddenly appeared in the sky. "Oh no! It's the tide of the months of demons!" Someone cried out in alarm. "It's the annual tide of the months of demons! It's happening early this year. Let's go!" When the Yin Spirit Mountain appears, this place will be occupied by countless dead souls. All living things will be devoured and killed. Yuan Mo and the others were shocked when they saw the strange phenomenon in the sky. The human face ghost soar on the left side of Mu Ruyu's face, felt the vigorous Yin aura in the air, and howled even louder. It tore at her flesh, causing her to cry out in pain. "Let's go. Use your identity plate and leave this place quickly." All the disciples of large powers that entered the Kai Yuan mystic realm would have an identity plate that could teleport them out of the Kai Yuan mystic realm at any time. When Yuan Mo and the others noticed the change in the tide of the months of demons, they immediately prepared to use their identity plates to leave this place. The tide of the months of demons was a great calamity in the Kai Yuan mystic realm. When the tide started, the entire Kai Yuan mystic realm would be enveloped by the aura of the Yin spirit mountain. Countless dead souls would appear. If the months of demons didn't vanish, the dead souls wouldn't vanish. The living would perish. Anyone who encountered the tide of the months of demons would have to leave immediately. The timing of the tide of the months of demons was uncertain. Yuan Mo and the others didn't expect their luck to be so good that they would encounter the tide of the months of demons this time. Lady Luo Qi quick. Yuan Mo wanted Luo Qingtong to leave with them, but he realized that the girl was nowhere to be found. Bang bang bang. Luo Qingtong led the Sun Soul Emperor Beast to attack while retreating. The moment the tide of the months of demons erupted, the latter seemed to have been stimulated by something and attacked her madly. Not wanting to expose her strength in front of Yuanma and the others, Luo Qingtong led the Sun Soul Emperor Beast away. She also heard the words of Yuanma and the others. The tide of the months of demons, the appearance of the dead souls, the death of the living. Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed. The disciples of the major powers who came in through legitimate means could naturally leave with their identity tokens. But what about the students of Tianyu Branch Academy? TSK. How troublesome. With a swoosh, Luo Qingtong's figure flew up. In the next second, the Tempest sword in her hand was replaced by the life and death yin-yang sword. The sword slashed down. Rumble. The Sun Soul Emperor Beast instantly fell in front of her. The power in its body transformed into 3 Sun Soul Emperor stones. The size and color of the Sun Soul Emperor stones were much larger than the Sun Soul Emperor stones. Luo Qingtong looked at the energy flowing on them and felt the pure color inside. She put them away. Then she flew up and rushed out of the Yin-Yang Soul Mountain. Chapter 523. Swoosh. Swoosh. Luo Qingtong moved in the Yin-Yang Soul Mountain. As the tide of months of demons took shape, the blood moon in the sky became more and more obvious. In the air, illusory soul bodies began to distort and charged towards Luo Qingtong with a sharp howl. The dead souls filled the air. 100 Ghosts Parade. Swoosh. Luo Qingtong opened the death blade in her hand. As the dead souls pounced on her, she drew a full moon shape and killed them quickly. Bang! 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 Wherever the girl's figure passed by, it was like a huge black whirlpool, killing all the dead souls. However, after those dead souls dissipated, new dead souls were born. Luo Qingtong killed the dead souls as she walked. She rushed to the edge of the Kaiyuan Mystery Land. The space here has been distorted. In her arms, little Nether Venerable looked solemn. His handsome and cold face was now filled with a serious expression. So we are trapped here. Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed as she killed the dead souls that kept charging at her. Swoosh. She rushed out of the Yin-Yang Soul Mountain. As she left, fewer dead souls were born. Some of the dead souls that pounced on her were easily killed by Luo Qingtong. Yes, unless an expert of the sage state breaks the space from the inside and sends you out, you will be trapped here, Yi Qianxian said in a low voice. The tide of months of demons began. The aura of the Yin Soul Mountain filled the air. His separated soul was imprisoned in the heart of the 1,000-year soul guiding wood. Because it was also a soul, it was very sensitive to the aura. He sensed that the passageways to the outside world in the Kaiyuan Mystery Land were all closed when the tide of months of demons appeared. The disciples of the big forces could leave with their identity nameplates. However, Luo Qingtong and the others did not have any identity nameplates. Even if there were people outside who wanted to save them, they could not locate them, unless there was an expert of the sage state who could send them out. However, there were only a few instructors from Tianyu Branch, and the most of them were at the peak of the Martial Emperor realm. Even if the increase was not as great as the consumption, it would at most reach the Martial Emperor realm. What use would that kind of strength have at this time? When the power of the tide of the months of demons was released from the Yin-Yang Soul Mountain, the entire mountain would be filled with dead souls. That bit of strength of theirs could not even be considered cannon fodder. In the tide of the months of demons, even a Saint Realm expert would be exhausted and die. After all, the number of dead souls was boundless. Let's go and take a look first. Luo Qingtong frowned. Who would have thought that he would encounter such a thing after entering the Kai Yuan mystic realm to train? If the dean of the Tianyu branch school knew that he had sent his students here on a whim, only to be met with such a calamity, who knew if he would vomit blood outside? In fact, the dean of the Tianyu branch was already vomiting blood. Quick! Hurry up and invite Song. Teacher Song Chung. Hearing that the tide of the months of demons had erupted in the Kai Yuan secret realm, and that the disciples of the major forces had left the secret realm, the dean of the Tianyu branch shouted, as if he had lost his mind. Quick! The instructors of the Tianyu branch school were also burning with anxiety. Chapter 524. However, the latter had just received Luo Qingtong's guidance and was experimenting with his inscription pattern in the laboratory. He was determined to refine an interspatial ring of more than 10 square meters. A group of mentors had been wandering around the Sage Realm array outside his dormitory for a long time, but they couldn't disturb him at all. They had no choice but to report back to the branch dean. The latter could only vomit blood while shouting, "Invite the experts of the Saint Court of the Empire of Qin to come. Invite the experts of the Saint Court of the Empire of Qin to come." An entire school of students. If they were really destroyed in the Kaiyuan mystic realm, then he, the branch dean, would really be finished. Just as the outside world was in a mess, Luo Qingtong had already reached the edge of the Kaiyuan mystic realm. Swoosh! The blood light in her eyes flashed, and she quickly found Sima Ju's location based on the inscription pattern's aura she left on him. However, just as she got close to where they were, she suddenly felt an attack flying over from the side. Bang! Luo Qingtong's figure flashed, and she instantly dodged that attack. Just then, she heard Su Xiaoxiao's sobbing voice not far away. You're too much." After Su Xiaoxiao's voice, it was Ling Yuer's voice. "You Wenxue, Shi Qingqing, you'll die a horrible death." Luo Qingtong frowned and looked forward. In the open area ahead, Ling Yuer, Su Xiaoxiao, Yuanhu, Sima Ju, Ling Tianhan, and the others were surrounded by Yu Wenxue, Shi Qingqing, Zhan Haoping, and the other students on the genius ranking. Rather than saying surrounded, it was more like they were surrounded by a group of dead souls. However, Shi Qingqing and the others had more people, and they surrounded Ling Yuer and the others in the center, forming a three-layered encirclement. Perhaps it was because they were near the swamp and the yin qi was heavier, but the number of dead souls spawned there was not a small number. At this moment, they had completely surrounded Shi Qingqing, Ling Yuer and the others. The number of dead souls was endless. Once they were killed, they would continue to spawn. It was obvious that some of Shi Qingqing's people couldn't hold on any longer, and immediately had evil intentions. They wanted to divert the attention of the dead souls by sending Yuan Hu and the others to their deaths, so that they could escape. Bang bang bang. A portion of the group stayed behind to attack the dead souls, while the rest attacked Yuan Hu and the others. Ling Yuer and the others' angry rebukes came from this. They originally needed to resist the attacks of the dead souls, but Shi Qingqing and the others still wanted to hit them while they were down, wanting to use their deaths in exchange for a chance to live. Who wouldn't hate them? What's more, they had just been training here, and were about to leave when they saw the dead souls appear. It was Shi Qingqing and the others who lured a group of dead souls over, causing them to be trapped here. Now they wanted to send them to their deaths. Ling Yuer and little tyrant Yuan were instantly enraged. Even Su Xiaoxiao, who was usually the most timid and shy girl, was looking at them with red eyes, as if she wanted to kill them. "Little Ju, are you all right?" Su Xiaoxiao looked at Sima Ju. After the group separated from Luo Qingtong, they had been training together. They were already very familiar with each other, and called each other by their names. Sima Ju was the first to be attacked. Compared to the battle alchemist, Su Xiaoxiao, who was protected in the middle, the delicate and slender beautiful young man Sima Ju looked easier to deal with. This was also because after Luo Qingtong helped Sima Ju retract his 10,000 poison body, his appearance was very deceptive. Chapter 525. Looking at the genius list student who had pushed Sima Ju out painfully clutching his hand and rolling on the ground, Sima Ju's dark eyes flashed with a cold and indifferent light. This person was looking for death. Sure, Qingqing and the rest didn't expect that Sima Ju, who looked like the easiest to bully, was actually the hardest to deal with. They thought that after pushing Sima Ju out, Yuan Hu and the rest would be in a mess, and they would be able to defeat them one by one. They didn't expect Sima Ju to be fine and cripple one of their genius list students' hand. Since when were the trash class students so powerful? If they had such talent and strength, how could they not enter the elite class? Sure, Qingqing and the rest were depressed, but now wasn't the time to think about it. The Dead Souls attacks were getting more and more concentrated and powerful. If this continued, they would all die here. Let's attack together, Zhan Haoping said coldly. The other genius list students echoed in unison. Junior Ling, I'm sorry. Sure, Qingqing looked at Ling Yu, and Ling Tianhan and said, we are the most important students in the school. I think the dean and the mentors will also sacrifice you guys for us. You guys stay. Help us block the Dead Souls. As for your heroic deeds, I will report it to the dean and the mentors when we return to the school. They will know. Ling Public House will also be proud of you guys. That's right. It's your honor to die to protect us. Yuan Shua was protected at the back. She looked at Ling Yu and the rest and said, Ling Yu, blame yourself for being with a bunch of trash class students. They deserve to be our stepping stone and cushion. As she spoke, the genius list students had already attacked. Bang bang bang. Yuan Hu and the rest were already at a disadvantage in terms of numbers. Even with Yuan Hu's petrification soul imprint and innate strength, and Ling Tianhan's outstanding strength, they were still no match for Shi Qingqing and the rest. The group was forced into the depths of the Dead Souls. They were attacked from both sides. Big brother! Ling Yu, and the rest were furious when they saw Ling Tianhan's sword was knocked down, and he had to face the attacks of Shi Qingqing and the rest. At this moment, swoosh! Luo Qingtong's figure suddenly appeared beside them. In the next second, the wind and thunder sword appeared. Clang! Between heaven and earth, the sound of wind and thunder resounded. Luo Qingtong directly swept her sword across. Bang! 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 Before the countless Dead Souls could even get close, they were scattered by the power of wind and thunder in Luo Qingtong's oscillating wind and thunder sword. Although this killing effect was not as good as the life and death sword's death edge, it was still quite powerful. If Luo Qingtong used her life and death yin-yang swords, all the Dead Souls within a radius of 100 meters would be annihilated. Bang! After the wind and lightning sword killed those Dead Souls, it swept towards Shi Qingqing and the others. Under the shocked gazes of the latter and the others, with a boom, all of their attacks were shattered into pieces, and they were all injured. Puff! Shi Qingqing and the others spat out a mouthful of blood as they stared at the young girl in front of them in shock. Luo Qingtong, looking at the red figure that appeared in front of them, they were indescribably shocked. She swept away so many Dead Souls with one sword, shattered their attacks and injured them. How strong was Luo Qingtong? Chapter 526. Boss! Qingtong. Seeing Luo Qingtong appear, little tyrant Yuan and the rest were overjoyed. Especially little tyrant Yuan. He pointed at Shi Qingqing and the rest and said, Boss, they bullied us when you weren't here. They even wanted to send us to our deaths. She complained so boldly and confidently, especially when Luo Qingtong was so powerful. Bastards who didn't rely on their backers. Go. Go quickly. Being pointed at by little tyrant Yuan, Zhan Haoping and the rest instantly reacted and hurriedly turned to flee. However, just as their figures moved, another sword light flew over in an instant. If it weren't for the Dead Souls surging over again and helping them block some of the attacks, Zhan Haoping and the rest would have all died under that sword light. The group of people all spat out blood and ran wildly, not daring to stay at all. Luo Qingtong's strength was simply terrifyingly strong. How was this possible? How did her strength suddenly become so strong? Could it be that she had encountered a heavenly opportunity in this training? The group of people thought as they fled in panic. Shi Qingqing and Yuan Shua's faces were even paler. Yuan Shua was still alright, her strength was only average to begin with. Even if she found out that Luo Qingtong was very powerful, she only felt resentment and unwillingness in her heart. But Shi Qingqing was like a bolt from the blue. She never thought that in just a short while Luo Qingtong's strength would actually become so powerful. Could it be that they purposely sent her to that space-time pit to help her instead? But did that space-time pit lead to the core of the Kai Yuan mystic realm? Generally, the genius disciples of large factions wouldn't dare to go there without forming a team. Shouldn't Luo Qingtong be dead for sure after being sent there? In the end, not only did she not die, she even obtained a great opportunity and became so powerful now. Thinking of this, Shi Qingqing's heart felt like it was being bitten by countless ants, and she was extremely regretful. If she had known this would happen, she wouldn't have listened to Zhang Haoping and the rest. She should have thought of a way to kill Luo Qingtong during the training, instead of pushing her into that trap and helping her out for no reason. Thinking of this, Shi Qingqing's heart was filled with hatred. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold as she watched them leave. Let's go. She turned around and killed the dead souls that were approaching again, and led little Overlord Yuan and the others out of the dead souls' tide. Phew. Boss, it's fortunate that you made it this time. Otherwise we'd be dead for sure. You don't know how treacherous Shi Qingqing and the others are. Being led away from the dead souls tied by Luo Qingtong, they finally arrived at a place with fewer dead souls. Yuan Little Overlord sat on the ground and said. Soon after he became excited. Boss, you disappeared as soon as you entered the secret realm. Did you find some kind of opportunity that made you so powerful? Wow! Didn't you see that Zhang Haoping and the others were so scared that they peed their pants? That's right. Ling Yuer also laughed. And that expression on Shi Qingqing's face, did you see it? It was as if he had eaten shit. Ha ha ha. Ling Yuer laughed so hard that she was rocking back and forth. She did not have the demeanor of a lady at all. It was really too satisfying. Shi Qingqing and the others deserved it. Yuer, Ling Tianhan helplessly called her. What kind of expression was that? As the legitimate daughter of Duke Ling's mansion, couldn't she pay more attention? Chapter 527. Qingtong, you're really amazing this time. She looked at Luo Qingtong. Ling Tianhan also looked at Luo Qingtong. Junior Luo, thank you so much this time. He thanked her with a serious expression. If Luo Qingtong hadn't come in time, he would have been killed. No need to thank me. Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent. I should be the one thanking you. Luo Qingtong was very clear about the strength of little tyrant Yuan and the others. Even with her advice and Sima Ju's 10,000 poisons body, Shi Qingqing's side had too many people. If Ling Yuer and Ling Tianhan hadn't been with them, something would have happened to little tyrant Yuan and the others. He saved her people, so it was only right for her to save him. This time, Shi Qingqing and the others have gone too far. But where did those dead souls come from? Ling Yuer asked doubtfully. It's the demonic moon tide. Luo Qingtong told her the news she'd gotten from Yuanma and the others. The entire Kaiyuan mystery realm will be covered by the dead souls. The geniuses from the large factions who came to train have already left. We have to leave as soon as possible, or else we'll die. No way. Ling Yuer's eyes widened in shock. In that case, Shi Qingqing and the others sent us to our deaths in vain. As long as they don't leave this place, they won't be able to escape death. Luo Qingtong nodded indifferently. But they don't know. So they'll definitely continue to die. The group was all injured. If they wanted to find the teachers safely, they had to keep pushing people to their deaths. Luo Qingtong looked forward to seeing them again. She didn't know how many of them would be left in the end. Or perhaps, not a single one would be left. Her lips curved slightly. The group continued to head towards the training grounds of the Tianyu branch. With Ling Yuer and the others leading the way, Luo Qingtong quickly found the group of people from the Tianyu branch and the accompanying teachers. Dead souls had begun to appear at the edge of the Kaiyuan mystery realm, and there were quite a few of them. The evil moon hung higher and higher in the sky, and its outline became clearer and clearer. The land around them was covered in fog. Looking from afar, they could see that there was black gas everywhere. But only Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian knew that they were all dead souls. The dead souls in the distance had already piled up like a mountain. Soon it would be the same in the border area. The mentors in the team also felt that something was wrong. Even if they did not know what the tide of the months of demons was, they knew that they were in big trouble. No, I can't open it. Standing in the huge door of light, the group of teachers tried their best to open the door of light. But their strength was simply not enough. Only a Saint Realm expert could ignore the laws and break through space. The space around this light gate had been distorted, and the aura of the ghost mountain had shrouded the area. Luo Qingtong had just refined a spatial ring, and standing near the light gate, she could naturally feel the distortion of the space force field. This door of light was equivalent to being locked in place. It was just for show. What should we do? Seeing that the surrounding darkness was getting thicker and thicker, dead souls were gathering towards them from all directions. Everyone from the Tianyu branch had a look of despair on their faces. There were too many. There were too many dead souls. They were densely packed, and there was no end to them. And because most of the people in the Kaiyuan mystery realm had left, only they had the aura of living people. Those dead souls had all gathered from the Yin Yang Soul Mountain. Chapter 528. What's going on? She raised her hand and killed a group of dead souls that were approaching her. She could clearly feel that there were more dead souls coming toward her than the others, and they were obviously coming for Little Nether Venerable. Previously, there were too few dead souls, so she didn't feel anything. But now, there were more dead souls, and they were crowded together, so she found out immediately. Was it because of the 1,000-year soul guiding tree's core? Or was it because of his divided soul? My original body's strength is above the Saint Realm. Yi Qianxian looked at her. Behind the silver half of her face was a cute and serious expression. He looked down. The soul of the Saint Realm is very beneficial for their growth and transformation. Especially his soul. It could be compared with the divine objects of heaven and earth. If these dead souls devoured his soul, they would be able to cultivate into a human body, regain their consciousness, and advance to the ghost god realm. His soul was so nourishing. How could these dead souls let him go? These dead souls were still okay now. They were all incomplete souls, and their minds were not clear. They only acted on instinct. Therefore, even if they were attracted by his soul, they would attack the aura of other living people when they encountered the same aura. But once the Yin Soul Mountain and the Sun Soul Mountain merged, the evil moon would be in the middle of the sky. The dead soul king in the Yin Soul Mountain would awaken. Then, he would become the real target of public criticism. No way. Hearing Yi Qianxian's words, Luo Qingtong's lips twitched. This man's strength was comparable to the all-nourishment pill. And now his soul was also a great nourishment for these dead souls? He shouldn't be called Yi Qianxian. He should be called Tang Sanzang. My power is only useful to you. Little Nether Venerable seemed to know what she was thinking, and he snorted. Did she really think that anyone could borrow his power? Then, how could he have lived until now? He had already become someone else's power reserve. It was only through this woman that he knew that she could use his power. Of course, he was also willing to be used by her. If it were someone else, he would have skinned that person. After all, it was a taboo to have one's power absorbed by others. Even an expert couldn't tolerate it. Who would be willing to give away their hard-earned strength to someone else? Even if his power would not be damaged, he would never give it to an unrelated person. Oh, Luo Qingtong blinked. That's good. The public battery had been turned into a special battery. At least, she wouldn't have to use second-hand goods in the future. Luo Qingtong felt inexplicably unhappy when she thought that someone else might use this method to absorb this man's power. This man should be hers. Then let's quickly find a way to get out, Luo Qingtong said, looking at the light door. I wonder if I can use the inscription method to repair the spatial force field near the door of light? If it could be repaired, then as long as the teachers had enough strength, they would be able to open the door of light. The reason why they couldn't open it before was because the teachers weren't strong enough. Those who were not in the Saint Realm could not break through space. We can give it a try. Yi Qianxian's eyes flashed. If it were someone else, he definitely wouldn't believe that that person could do it. After all, It was a space that could only be broken by the Saint Realm, and it was shrouded by the power of the tide of months of demons. How could it be repaired so easily? Luo Qingtong wasn't a real inscription master. Even a real inscription master had to be able to refine a space ring that could create a world of its own in order to do this. But this woman had created too many miracles. Chapter 529. Luo Qingtong nodded. I'll go with the identity of evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Luo Qingtong was well aware of what it meant to be able to break through a space that only a Saint Realm powerhouse could do. Without sufficient persuasion, she feared that those mentors would not listen to her. And the identity of evil Dr. Ghost Eye represented absolute persuasion. Shwa, Luo Qingtong's figure disappeared into the tide of dead souls. Using the cover of the dead souls, Luo Qingtong quickly completed her disguise. The youth was dressed in red, evil and enchanting. The Rakshasa ghost mask covering his face was ferocious. It had the ferocious appearance of an evil spirit, but it also had a different kind of bewitching charm. To be able to wear such a ferocious and terrifying Rakshasa ghost mask like a Buddha from the immortal realm, and to have an awe-inspiring demonic charm, this was something that no one else possessed. As soon as Luo Qingtong appeared, everyone's eyes instantly gathered on her. Evil Dr. Ghost Eye? Seeing the Rakshasa ghost mask on the youth's face, and the feeling that he gave off, the several Sky Universe branch mentors instantly confirmed Luo Qingtong's identity. They couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. It was rumored that anyone who saw evil Dr. Ghost Eye would be able to recognize him at a glance. They thought that was an exaggeration. But now, it seemed that it wasn't an exaggeration at all. It was completely true. How many people could wear such an enchanting and evil demeanor like this youth? Sir Evil Dr. Ghost Eye, I didn't think that you would also be in this mystic realm. A mentor respectfully stepped forward and tentatively asked, could it be that you are also a disciple of a great influence that came to the initial element mystic realm to gain experience? The entire True Spill continent had been searching for this person. Even the people of the Black Field were looking for her. No one knew who evil Dr. Ghost Eye was. Now that she had appeared in this mystic realm, could it be that she was actually a hidden disciple of some great influence? The kind that was even fiercer than the great influences of the Holy Dynasty? These teachers of Tianyu vaguely heard some things about the Holy Dynasty, but those things were too far away from them. Seeing Luo Qingtong this time, they only dared to make some guesses. After all, apart from such forces, they couldn't think of any other place that could avoid the Black Field and the investigation of the major forces of the Sacred Dynasty. However, why would such a powerful figure appear in this Yuan Kai mystic realm? Could it be that with his ability and strength, he still needed to come to such a place to gain experience? Was this a joke? With a casual wave of his hand, there would be countless resources and secret places for her to cultivate at will. The Kai Yuan mystic realm was considered precious to them, but since it was open to the public, it was definitely not that precious. Just like the grand event of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, that their principal wanted to participate in. That kind of competition between the four regions, the opportunity for so many peerless geniuses to gather together to fight for it was truly precious. Of course, if it was the evil Dr. Ghost Eye, she could go whenever she wanted. I just came in for a stroll, and to take some things. I didn't expect to encounter the tides of the months of demons. Luo Qingtong said as she looked at them. Which faction are you from? Why haven't you left yet? When the tides of the months of demons wreak havoc, no one in the Kai Yuan mystic realm will be spared. As long as the months of demons don't disappear, the dead won't leave. If you don't leave now, you will be buried here with me. Before she could finish her words, the teachers of Tianyu branch were already sweating profusely. Evil Doctor, Lord Evil Doctor, we are from Tianyu branch, and we are trapped here. We can't get out. Evil Doctor, please save us. Save us. The teachers of Tianyu branch didn't know that the tides of the months of demons were so terrifying. They only knew that something was wrong with their surroundings, but they didn't expect the tides of the months of demons to be so terrifying. Chapter 530. They took the bait. Luo Qingtong's lips curved into a smile. Save you? Ordinary people can't afford the price I have to pay. The group of mentors from Tianyu branch were actually trying anything in their desperation. They weren't sure if Luo Qingtong could save them. After all, they hadn't heard that evil Dr. Gui Tong had reached the Saint Realm. But now that they heard Luo Qingtong's words, they saw a glimmer of hope. They hurriedly shouted, "Evil doctor, don't worry. Everyone in our school is here. The situation is very serious. As long as you can save us, our school will pay any price." The mentors of Tianyu branch dared to make such a promise, because all the students of Tianyu branch were here. If they all died here, the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin and Tianyu Empire would be greatly shocked. Therefore, no matter what the price was, the school would agree. As if afraid that Luo Qingtong would go back on her words, they hurriedly made an oath and a written pledge. Looking at the pledge in her hand, Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows. She could ask for anything. These mentors of Tianyu branch really regarded her as their last hope. But Luo Qingtong was indeed their only hope now. If she couldn't save them, then they could only wait for death here. The students of Tianyu branch were like birds startled by the twang of a bow. After Luo Qingtong told them how terrible the tides of the months of demons were, many students who couldn't bear it burst into tears. Those who were slightly stronger looked at Luo Qingtong with hope and fear. Luo Qingtong disguised herself as a teenager and looked about the same age as them. They didn't expect her to be the famous evil Dr. Gui Tong. Could this teenager really have a way to get them out of here? The students of Tianyu branch felt like their hearts were covered with a layer of dust. They didn't know whether they would live or die. Luo Qingtong had no time to pay attention to them. Previously, a group of mentors had surrounded the door of light, so she couldn't get close to take a look. Now that they were closer, they realized how severe the spatial distortion and rupture of the light gate were. "I need your help." Luo Qingtong looked at the mentors and said, "I can fix this gate of light, but I'll need your help." Luo Qingtong activated her pupillary technique and could clearly see the distorted spatial force field inside the light door. She could use the inscription lines to make up for it. Restore the force field to the state before the tide of months of demons. However, this required a large amount of energy, and she couldn't do it alone. What's more, the carving of the inscriptions required sufficient cultivation strength to support it. At this time, Luo Qingtong was incomparably glad that her special ability was the eye technique. Otherwise, if it was another person, even if it was a real inscription master, it would be impossible to repair the space force field and return the light door to normal. She was also glad that old man Song Chung didn't remove the light door because he was lazy. Otherwise, without this light door, even if she had the ability to reach the heavens, she wouldn't be able to break open the space and send them out until she reached the sage realm. Good. Evil doctor, if you have any instructions, please don't hesitate to tell us. When the mentors heard that there was hope for them to leave, they didn't care about anything else and immediately agreed. What's more, some of them had even prepared a forbidden spell. Chapter 531. Swish. The bloody light in Luo Qingtong's eyes grew even brighter. The Rakshasa mask on her face blocked the devilish light in her eyes. It also blocked the girl's demonic and devilish appearance from everyone's view. Swish. Luo Qingtong pointed her finger, and a faint aura of power followed the distorted spatial force field in the door of light. Little by little, she used the inscription patterns to repair it. Her aura of power remained in the air, leaving behind faint traces. Every time I finish drawing a line, a mentor will draw along the line. Inject your power into the door of light according to the traces of the lines, no more, no less. Otherwise, it will all be for naught and the door of light will be destroyed. Don't blame me if you can't get out. Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent as she instructed everyone. Yes, Lord Evil Doctor, don't worry, we will remember it. This matter concerned their lives, so the mentors remembered it very carefully. They hated that they couldn't use a knife to carve it into their hearts. The group of Tianyu branch students also remembered these words in their hearts. They tried their best to stay away from the door of light and Luo Qingtong. In case something went wrong, and this door of light was destroyed, causing them to be unable to leave. Swish, swish, swish. Luo Qingtong's speed was very fast. The bloody light in her eyes flickered unceasingly. The aura of power in her hands was also constantly inscribing, covering the door of light with inscription patterns. The mentors followed behind her. After she finished inscribing a line, the mentors would immediately inject their power into it. They were so careful, as if they would kill everyone if they made a mistake. This woman is really heaven-defying. Little Pig, who was inside Luo Qingtong's sleeve, exclaimed in admiration when he saw the girl completing such a magnificent feat. She had almost completely repaired the spatial force field around the door of light. Ever since he contracted Luo Qingtong as his master, she had surprised him again and again. It was obviously impossible, and Luo Qingtong hadn't reached that realm yet. However, she always had a way to do things that people at that realm couldn't do. Therefore, she couldn't blame the man beside her for being infatuated with her. Even it had lived for so many years and experienced countless changes in the primordial era. But it had never seen a woman as strange and unpredictable as Luo Qingtong. How could Yi Qianxian not fall? When a man couldn't see through a woman, the more he wanted to see through her, the more he wanted to know more about her. He was destined to never let go of that woman. However, falling in love with such a woman was also a very difficult thing, because you never know what she'll do next. Brother, I sympathize with you. Little Pig patted Little Ming Zun with his little hoof. The latter looked at it coldly. I'm fine. I don't need your sympathy. Meeting this woman was the luckiest thing in his life. He only felt joy, not pain. What was there to sympathize with? Little Pig really wanted to use his little hooves to shake Yi Qianxian awake. Young man, this isn't right. Where's your domineering aura as the king of Blackfield? Didn't you say this woman needs to be properly trained? Don't be the first to be trained by her. Chapter 532. Whoosh! After more than an hour, Luo Qingtong finally finished drawing all the inscriptions on the door. The instructors behind her were still pouring energy into the door. About 2 hours later, the instructors finally stopped after injecting energy into the inscriptions that Luo Qingtong had drawn. They were almost drained dry. A few of the instructors with average strength even used forbidden spells. Okay, get out of the way. The tide of the months of demons was close to the middle of the sky. There were more and more dead souls at the edge, and the dead souls behind them were getting stronger. The encirclement formed by the students of Tianyu branch was shrinking, and they were almost at the door of light. Whoosh! Luo Qingtong pointed her finger at the hub, where all the inscription lines were connected. Instantly, the inscriptions on the door of light came alive. It's open! It's open! The door is open! As the inscriptions moved, the door of light suddenly shone brightly. The space energy affected by the tide of the months of demons was restored under the influence of the spatial inscriptions, and it returned to its original state. The door of light slowly opened. Seeing the door of light light up, the entire Tianyu branch, from the teachers to the students, cried out in excitement. At the same time, in the outside world, Tianyu branch, the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin heard that Tianyu branch had sent students into the mysterious land of Kaiyuan to train, and they were trapped inside. So they immediately sent a Saint Realm expert to help. However, the space in the mysterious land of Kaiyuan was distorted, and the students of Tianyu branch didn't have an identity tag, so they were basically smuggled in. The Saint Realm expert couldn't find them at all, let alone break the space from the outside to save them. During the tide of the months of demons, the space in the mysterious land of Kaiyuan was sealed. It couldn't be broken from the outside. Song Chung also sensed the aura of the Sage Realm experts from the academy, and came out of his laboratory when he sensed the aura of the Sage Realm experts. He panicked when he heard that all the students of the school were trapped in the mysterious land of Kaiyuan. F***CK. His precious disciple was still in there. Song Chung couldn't wait to catch the dean of Tianyu branch and beat him to death. What a pain in the ass. If it wasn't for your sudden inspiration to send your student into the Kaiyuan mystic realm to train, his precious disciple wouldn't have met with such a mishap. Song Chung now valued Luo Qingtong more than anything else. That was his precious Dan Dan. Now that he was trapped in the origin opening secret realm, It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. He was on the verge of killing the principal of the Tianyu branch supermonastery. The latter did not even dare to fight back. Right at this moment, buzz! Beams of light suddenly came from the entrance of the Kai Yuan secret realm. A light gate suddenly appeared. Door. The door is open. When the group of Sky Universe branch teachers saw the door to the Kai Yuan secret realm open, they were so excited that their beards and hair were trembling. Oh my God! The door opened. The students inside were saved. On the other hand, Song Cheng and the Saint Realm expert from the Empire of Qin were stunned. After the Kai Yuan mystic realm was sealed, it could only be opened from the inside. Moreover, it couldn't be opened by anyone below the Saint stage. Could there be a Saint Realm expert inside? That's not right. Isn't this the light gate I opened before? Song Cheng muttered to himself as he looked at the light gate. He had opened the gate himself, so he could recognize it. However, the tide of the months of demons covered the entire area, so the light gate should have been sealed. Chapter 533. While he was in a daze, the students of Tianyu branch hurriedly rushed out when they saw the door of light open. Instructor! A group of people rushed out crying and threw themselves into the arms of their respective instructors. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The students of Tianyu branch all rushed out of the door of light. As they left, the encirclement of dead souls continued to shrink. Luo Qingtong glanced around. When she found that most of the students had left, she prepared to leave as well. She changed back into Luo Qingtong's identity and left this place. However, after looking around several times, she found that little tyrant Yuan and the others were not there. What's going on? Luo Qingtong carefully recalled. Indeed, she did not see little tyrant Yuan and the others leave. Luo Qingtong's brows furrowed. When she changed her identity, she naturally told little tyrant Yuan and the others to stay near the door of light and leave as soon as they had the chance. They did not need to worry about her. Where did this group of people go now? While she was thinking, a group of people covered in wounds and wearing tattered clothes suddenly rushed into the door of light in front of her. Shi Qingqing Zhan Haoping? Looking at the group of people who seemed to have crawled out of a pile of corpses, Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows. She did not expect them to be alive. She did not know how they escaped the pursuit of those dead souls. It seemed that their team had suffered heavy losses. Luo Qingtong ignored them and focused on searching for little tyrant Yuan and the others. Swoosh! Her figure swept in the direction of Shi Qingqing and the others. For some reason, she felt that the disappearance of little tyrant Yuan and the others had something to do with Shi Qingqing and the others. Sure enough, she did not go far in that direction before she saw little tyrant Yuan and the others surrounded by the tide of dead souls. Boss! Boss! Yuan Hu the blockhead was at the outermost periphery. His skin was completely petrified, blocking all the dead souls outside. He allowed them to bite him as they desperately squeezed into the depths of the tide of dead souls. Damn it! Shi Qingqing, those bitches. If something really happened to Boss because of them, I won't let them off even if I become a ghost. Boss! He shouted with all his might. Behind him, Sima Ju's skin had turned black. Countless poisons were spreading out in all directions. His 10,000 poisons body could even poison souls to thin out. For the first time, Sima Ju did not hate his body. Instead, he was afraid that the poison in his body was not strong enough. Not enough. Not enough. He hated that he could not kill all these dead souls. Boss! As for the people around him, wasn't there still Su Xiaoxiao? She was a girl. She was medicine. Su, she was a medicine as well as a little girl. A Shiju Yayan was. Countless medicinal liquids were moving in her hands. According to the changes in Sima Ju's body, she made the corresponding antidote. At the same time, according to the poison that could kill those dead souls, she made a new poison to form a protection around everyone. Her hands moved in a dazzling manner. Countless drops of medicinal liquid danced in her hands like fairies. Chapter 534. Qingtong. Ling Yuer waved her long whip and followed beside her. Ling Tianhan's left hand was already bleeding, and his right hand was dangling, but he still steadily swung his sword again and again. The group continued to advance into the depths of the dead souls. So many people wanted to rush into the door of light, but only they, one step at a time, rushed in the opposite direction without hesitation. What a bunch of fools! Looking at Yuan Hu's attitude and hearing their words, how could Luo Qingtang not know what was going on? Obviously, Shi Qingqing and the others said something to them, making them mistakenly think that she was trapped in the depths of the dead souls. So they risked everything to save her. They were really adorably stupid. So stupid that she couldn't even scold them. TSK. The group of people you've trained is not bad. Their moral quality is not bad. Little Pig said calmly from inside her sleeve. You didn't waste your efforts in teaching them. I'll repay their kindness with my life. They very good. Luo Qingtong's voice was low. Luo Qingtong didn't expect Yuan Hu and the others to be willing to go to this extent for her. The human nature she believed in was completely different from the people she met in her previous life. It seemed that her moral quality in her previous life was really too bad. So she always met with scum? Should she try to trust others a little more? Thinking of this, Luo Qingtong thought of the soul fragment of a certain man in her arms. Should she try to take a step closer to this man? If it didn't work, retreat again? At worst, she could just run again. Luo Qingtong stood up as she thought. With a swoosh, she appeared in front of little tyrant Yuan and the others. Boss. Seeing Luo Qingtong, Yuan Hu and the others were pleasantly surprised. Not only did Ling Yu, and Su Xiaoxiao rush up and hug her, but Ling Tianhan's eyes also showed a trace of relief. Are you okay? Everyone looked at her and asked. Boss, you scared us to death. Shi Qingqing and Zhang Haoping said you said I was trapped by the tide of dead souls? Or did they trap me in the tide of dead souls? If that's the case, it's useless for you to come. Luo Qingtong looked at them and sighed. They told you that on purpose. We know that too, Yuan Hu whispered. The tower-like big guy was now like a little wife, shrinking his neck and saying, But what if you're really in here, boss? It's better that we're here than not. No matter how useless they were, they could at least create an opportunity for their boss to leave. Who knew what Shi Qingqing and the others would do when they were so treacherous? Yes. Luo Qingtong looked at them with a gentle gaze. Thank you. Thank you for risking everything to save me. Although she was not in danger, the warmth did not diminish. Haha, what are you talking about? Isn't it our duty to save the boss? Yuan Hu said proudly. But I also think that my actions just now were quite heroic. He laughed out loud. Ling Yu and the others were speechless. Come on, let's get out of here. The light door has already opened, and most of the people have probably left by now. As Luo Qingtong spoke, she raised her hand and killed the dead souls that surged towards her. This time, she did not deliberately hide her strength. With a strike coupled with the life and death duality sword, almost all the dead souls within a 100-meter radius were wiped out. Chapter 535. At the same time, the students of Tianyu branch all came out of the door of light. When Shi Qingqing and the others came out of the door of light, no one else came out. No one else? Did they all come out? Asked the head of Tianyu branch. No. There's still a group of people from the lower class who haven't come out yet. A teacher counted the number of people, and hurriedly reported the names of Luo Qingtong and the others. Hearing that Luo Qingtong and little tyrant Yuan were still inside, Shi Qingqing's eyes suddenly flashed. They had gone through untold hardships to come back alive from the tide of dead souls. When they saw little tyrant Yuan and the others, they casually made up a lie and let them rush into the tide of dead souls to find Luo Qingtong. They didn't expect that Luo Qingtong really didn't come out. It would be best if that woman died in there. Thinking of Luo Qingtong's terrifying strength, Shi Qingqing's face was filled with resentment. She covered the wounds on her body, which were caused by Luo Qingtong's attack. If it weren't for those dead souls blocking in front of her and offsetting some of the attack, she was afraid that she would have died under Luo Qingtong's sword. Why could Luo Qingtong get such a powerful opportunity when they both went to train? Why could her strength soar and directly crush her? Not only did she steal the man she adored, she was also stronger than her now. The only sense of superiority she had in front of Luo Qingtong was gone. If that was the case, why did she spend so much effort to get Luo Qingtong into the lower class? Wasn't it to make Luo Qingtong as lowly as mud, and let her trample on her? Shi Qingqing thought of the opportunities she got in the Kaiyuan mystic realm. Originally, these opportunities were already very good, enough for her to sit firmly on the first place of the genius list. Even Zhang Haoping was inferior to her. But compared to Luo Qingtong, she was completely trashed. Luo Qingtong was so strong. If she came out, she would immediately become the focus of the entire Tianyu branch. How could she have a place? Luo Qingtong, why didn't you die? Why didn't you die? Thinking of this, the resentment on Shi Qingqing's face became more obvious, causing her beautiful face to distort. At this moment she heard Zhang Haoping's voice. Shi Qingqing, Luo Qingtong hasn't come out yet. The man stood beside her and transmitted his voice to her. You know her strength, right? We tricked little Overlord Yuan and the rest into the dead soul's tide. It's fine if Luo Qingtong doesn't know about it, but if she does, she definitely won't let us go. No, I'm afraid she won't let us go as soon as she's. Shi Qingqing, both of us have made great gains in the Kaiyuan mystic realm. If it wasn't for Luo Qingtong, both of us would definitely be heavily nurtured into the Great Qin Sacred Academy. My tutor has already contacted a tutor for me. That mentor knows the sage stage expert from the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy, who came this time. He's a good friend. Shi Qingqing, we can't let Luo Qingtong come out alive. Let her destroy everything we have. Zhang Haoping said with a vicious look in his eyes. I just heard that the lines carved on the Door of Light can't be destroyed. Otherwise the Door of Light will be destroyed. Chapter 536. Alright. At this time, Shi Qingqing had also completely removed the mask of the Goddess of Grace and changed into her true appearance. I'll count to 3. I'll say let's attack together. You take the left, I'll take the right. There are a few others who will attack together, Zhang Haoping said coldly. This time, we must Luo Qingtong. She won't be able to return. Alright, Shi Qingqing replied coldly. The two of them counted to 3 at the same time. Shi Qingqing suddenly raised her hand. Hey, what's that? Her words instantly attracted everyone's attention. They followed her hand and looked forward. At this moment, rumble. A huge rumble sounded. In an instant, the huge door of light collapsed under everyone's shocked gaze. Oh no, there are still students inside. A tutor suddenly shouted. It's all right. It's just a few students from the lower classes, an elite class tutor said. Before he could finish his words, he was instantly sent flying by a huge force. F***ck your students from the lower classes. That's my precious disciple. My precious disciple is still inside. Qingtong. Seeing the door of light collapse, Song Cheng, who was circling the door of light and studying the inscription pattern on it, instantly went crazy. He had finally found his disciple's master. The inscription pattern that opened the door of light just now was clearly his precious disciple's masterpiece. His disciple. She was trapped inside. This bastard actually said that it was just a few students from the lower classes. Song Cheng flew into a rage. Quick, quick, save that door of light. F***ck, how did my disciple draw those lines? Song Cheng frantically drew those lines on the door of light, trying to reconnect the door of light. Just as the door of light collapsed, Luo Qingtong led little tyrant Yuan and the others out of the tide of dead souls. Seeing the door of light shatter in front of them, Luo Qingtong frowned. At this moment, the tide of the months of demons had reached its peak. The moon was in the middle of the sky. Screech! As the Yin Soul Mountain and the Yang Soul Mountain merged into one, the Yin Soul Mountain and the Yang Soul Mountain became one. The Yin Soul Mountain, which originally only existed in an illusory world, had completely solidified. Rumble! Within the huge Black Mountain range, the Dead Soul King had awakened. Boom! A huge eye suddenly emerged from the Yin Spirit Mountain. Then a huge figure, as if it had awakened from the mountain range, stood up energetically. It was an indomitable figure, with a huge horn sticking out from the top of its head. This awakened Dead Soul King looked like a beast, yet not a beast, yet not a human. As it howled, countless Een spirits flew out of the Shadow Soul Mountain, shrieking as they did so. These Een souls were on a completely different level from the dead souls from before. Their eyes were filled with greed as they stared at Luo Qingtong along with the Dead Soul King. Or rather, she was staring at Yi Qianxian, who was in her sleeve. Oh my god! Looking at this scene of tens of thousands of ghosts, Little Pig finally understood what Yi Qianren meant when she said he was a great tonic for these dead souls. This was the gaze of a hungry wolf looking at a meat bun. Although Little Pig knew that Yi Qianxian was not an ordinary person, he didn't know that his soul was so attractive to these dead souls. Oh my god! He was even more popular than an ancient divine beast. Chapter 537. Boss, what's going on? Little Overlord Yuan and the others also felt that the atmosphere around them had changed. If it was the night of 100 ghosts before, then this was the dance of a group of demons. They were not on the same level at all. It was too terrifying. The strength of these newly appeared ghosts was not comparable to the previous dead souls at all. The ghostly aura around them was astonishing. Hee! They screamed and rushed towards Luo Qingtong and the others, mainly aiming at Luo Qingtong. Boss! Seeing this scene, Little Overlord Yuan and the others rushed over. Don't come over. You can't deal with them. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold. Boom! Sima Ju's poison bombarded these ghosts, but it only scattered some of the ghostly aura on their bodies. There was no way to hurt them at all. These ghosts were already the evolution of those dead souls. They began to cultivate the path of ghosts and had intelligence. Screech! They screamed fiercely and rushed towards Luo Qingtong. Clang! Luo Qingtong's hand clenched the life and death yin yang sword in her hand. The death blade mode was fully activated. The aura of the divine tablet inscriptions lingering on it caused the Een spirits and malicious souls to tremble. But their desire for Little Nether Venerable allowed them to overcome all their fear. Screech! The Dead Soul King screamed sharply. Under its command, those ghosts did not immediately attack Luo Qingtong, but began to organize those dead souls. That's right. In the Kaiyuan mystic realm, the endless dead souls were all closing in on Luo Qingtong, under the control of the Dead Soul King and the Dark Souls. Bang bang bang! The death blade in Luo Qingtong's hand slashed. As her strength increased, the power of the life and death yin yang sword also increased. The death blade in her hand released sword light that was about 2 meters long. When it was waved in the air, it brought out a biting cold black wind, and it was like a full moon in the air. It was like a sickle. It was like the Grim Reaper was dancing elegantly, harvesting those dead souls. Swish! Swish! Under Luo Qingtong's death blade, large swaths of dead souls were harvested like wheat straw. Within a radius of 100 meters around Luo Qingtong, there were no ghosts or dead souls remaining. Bang bang bang! Even those dead souls that did not have any consciousness could not help but show a fearful expression under Luo Qingtong's large-scale harvest. The Dead Soul King shrieked even more sharply. Dong! Boom! Its footsteps echoed throughout the Kaiyuan secret realm. It came from the direction of the Een Spirit Mountain and rushed towards Luo Qingtong. It wanted to take action personally to capture Little Nether Venerable and improve itself. Roar! The huge Dead Soul King stood up on its hind legs, and with a fierce roar, the entire Kaiyuan secret realm shook. The strength of the Saint Realm. This Dead Soul King was at least in the Saint Realm. Feeling the huge shock wave spreading in the space, Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed slightly. Feeling the approach of the Dead Soul King, those ghosts that were forced to hundreds of meters away by Luo Qingtong screamed and controlled those dead souls to rush forward. If this went on, Luo Qingtong would not be able to resist at all. Boss! Little Overlord Yuan and the others were also surrounded. If not for the fact that he remembered Luo Qingtong's teachings and the petrification soul imprint, he would not have been able to withstand the attack long ago. At that time, Sima Ju and Su Xiaoxiao would be caught in the endless attacks of those ghosts and dead souls. Chapter 538. Let go of the original body. He looked at Luo Qingtong. The original body will deal with them. Your divided soul's strength is not at the saint realm. Luo Qingtong looked at him and hugged him. Right now, only Yi Qianren could deal with these dead souls. But his original body was not here. And the strength of this divided soul was not enough to deal with the dead soul king. If not for this, these ghosts, who were the best at avoiding danger, would not have dared to attack him. Ghosts were the most cunning. They were the most sensitive to danger. If she let go of Yi Qianxian and let him deal with these dead souls, they would definitely swarm him. Yi Qianxian's divided soul would be devoured by them. The original body said that the original body will not die so easily. Little Ming Zun raised his head proudly. As long as I, Yi Qianxian, am not willing, no one can take my life. Even if it's just a divided soul, it's still impossible. It was clearly a very domineering and imposing speech, but when Yi Qianren said it in such a soft and adorable manner, it strangely lost a lot of her imposing manner. She looked like a child who was deliberately speaking the words of an adult. He was so cute. Luo Qingtong could not help but laugh. What? You don't believe the original body? Little Ming Zun's little face became serious when he heard her laugh. He was inexplicably angry. This woman, he was talking to her very seriously. What did she mean by laughing like that? Yi Qianxian also knew that his small arms and legs did not look imposing. But wasn't it this woman's fault? Because of her, he was imprisoned in the heart of the 1,000-year soul-guiding wood. His imposing manner as the overlord of the Black Field was completely lost, and he was at her mercy. If he did not like this woman, how could he let himself be to this extent? She actually laughed at him. Yi Qianxian gritted his teeth fiercely. This woman should be caught and taught a good lesson. It had been a long time since Yi Qianxian had such thoughts. It was all because of this woman. In the past, he had wanted to catch her no matter what and punish her properly. He wanted to let her know that his dignity as the supreme of the Black Field was not to be challenged. Although he liked her, she couldn't be spoiled. After that, his thoughts slowly changed. As long as this woman didn't hide from him, it would be fine. She would obediently let him find her and stop running away. He could ignore her repeated challenges to his dignity and tolerate her disrespect towards him. Now, inexplicably, hearing this woman's laughter, he wanted to teach her a lesson. It was simply too abominable. This sovereign is serious with you. He glared angrily at him with his pair of adorable big eyes. Luo Qingtong laughed even harder. Okay. I'll listen to you. I believe you. Luo Qingtong really did not know what to do with this Yi Qianxian. She had countless ways to deal with the enlarged Yi Qianxian, but for the smaller Yi Qianxian, this soft, cute and arrogant Yi Qianxian, she only wanted to indulge him. In her previous life, she had run amok for nearly 20 years, and only now did she realize that she had such a thing as a young girl's heart. This world was really strange. You must pay attention to your safety. Don't try to be brave. If this wisp of your soul dissipates, it will greatly affect the strength of your main body. Don't act recklessly. Luo Qingtong warned. Chapter 539. Swish. With Yi Qianxian's permission, Luo Qingtong directly released him from the heart of the 1,000-year soul-guiding wood. With a point of her finger, Yi Qianxian's figure directly grew with the wind. In just an instant, he returned to his normal size and height. Humph! With a cold snort, Yi Qianxian lowered his head and looked at the little woman in his arms. He raised his hand and pulled Luo Qingtong into his arms. The illusory soul body couldn't feel the girl's warm body temperature and soft touch, which made Yi Qianxian very dissatisfied. At this time, Yi Qianxian came out of the heart of the 1,000-year soul-guiding wood. Without the cover of the heart of the 1,000-year soul-guiding wood, and the concealment of the 1,000-year yin qi, Yi Qianxian's soul power spread out in all directions in the entire Kaiyuan secret realm. Those yin spirits were like sharks that smelled blood. They went crazy in an instant. Especially the dead soul king. It couldn't wait to rush to Yi Qianxian's side as soon as possible and enjoy his sumptuous feast. Yi Qianxian's soul power was a supreme divine object to them. Ignorant ghosts. Trash like you dare to covet this sovereign soul power. Yi Qianxian's voice was cold. He hugged Luo Qingtang in his arms. The translucent sleeves of his robe fluttered, and in an instant, a wave of biting cold astral wind blew. Swish! The wind was like a sharp blade violently cutting. Yi Qianren casually waved his hand, and wherever his aura passed, those ghosts and malicious souls would crazily swarm around him before quickly dissipating. Like flying ashes, dust rose and dust disappeared. Screech! Sharp and fearful screams came one after another. Yi Qianxian's eyes were slightly cold, and he always enveloped Luo Qingtang in his arms. The astral wind stirred up by his sleeves directly enveloped little Overlord Yuan and the others, who were trapped in the encirclement not far away, and instantly cleared away all the Yin souls around them. Do you still remember the spatial force field where the light door was just now? Use inscriptions to draw it. He looked at the woman in his arms. But I'm not strong enough. Luo Qingtang gritted her teeth. She had an eye technique, so she naturally remembered the spatial force field that opened the light door just now. However, the door of light had already been shattered. Without the strength of the Sage Realm, even if she used the inscription lines to draw a complete door of light, it would only be a beautiful painting. It was impossible to drive it and break open the space. Just do as I say. I have my ways. Yi Qianren's voice was cold. Okay. Luo Qingtang frowned. Based on her memory, she quickly used inscriptions to draw a new light door at the place where the light door was broken. This time, she had to spend much more time than before on the basis of the original light door. After all, at that time, the spatial force field above the light door was fine. All she had to do was to repair the distorted force field and return it to normal. But now, she had to draw all the spatial force fields that formed the light door. While Luo Qingtang was quickly drawing, the Dead Soul King had completely rushed over from the Yin Spirit Mountain. Its body was huge. Even though the Yin Spirit Mountain was not far from here, it still arrived quickly. Screech! When it arrived, it immediately let out a sharp howl, ordering the dead souls and Yin spirits to attack Yi Qianxian even more fiercely. Chapter 540. Rumble. Countless ghosts and dead souls attacked Yi Qianxian. As the saying goes, many ants could bite an elephant to death. Even though Yi Qianxian was extremely powerful, it was only a split soul that was here. And the soul power of a split soul was limited. Those ghosts came out with shrill howls. A large number of them died, and a large number of them came out. There was no end to them. Under such circumstances, each of them bit off a bit of Yi Qianxian's soul power. In just an instant, Yi Qianxian was completely surrounded by a black tide of dead souls. Countless ghosts and dead souls came one after another. The dense ghost aura condensed together, and almost condensed into a substance. Luo Qingtang could feel the urgency of the situation outside. Her drawing of the inscription lines sped up. It was also because she had the eye technique that her drawing of the spatial force field was almost scripted. Her drawing speed was extremely fast, but there was no mistake at all. Screech! As she drew the last line of the inscription pattern, she finished it. The Dead Soul King, who had been watching from the side and waiting for an opportunity to attack Yi Qianxian, suddenly moved. It howled sharply and rushed out from the crowd of ghosts in an instant. It bit towards the man who was protecting Luo Qingtang in the middle. Yi Qianxian. At this moment, Luo Qingtang realized that the soul power around Yi Qianxian had almost completely dissipated. The man's figure became extremely illusory. There was a pile of Yin soul pills scattered around him. They were all given to him by her to preserve his soul power. Now he had eaten all of them. It could be seen how crazy those ghosts and dead souls were when they attacked just now. Smack! When Luo Qingtang finished drawing all the inscription lines of the light door, Yi Qianxian's figure shrank back to its original little Mingzun form. It was just that under Luo Qingtang's confinement, he had to shrink his body to fit the appearance of the 1,000-year soul-guiding tree's core. Now he couldn't maintain his normal body size because of the loss of his power. Yi Qianren, you said that this wisp of your soul would be fine. Looking at this scene, Luo Qingtang's eyes turned red. Yi Qianxian's little Mingzun form was faintly discernible in the air, as if it would disappear completely in the next second. As for the Dead Soul King, it had already opened its mouth and was about to bite him. It was waiting for this moment. This man's soul power was at its weakest and most vulnerable moment. At that time, he would be able to swallow him in one gulp and complete his greatest transformation. Yi Qianren. Luo Qingtong rushed over and hugged little Mingzun. You lied to me. I never lie. Little Mingzun looked proud. Even when he was so weak, Yi Qianxian would never show weakness in front of anyone. Woman, move away. As he spoke, he lifted his hand and pushed Luo Qingtong's body to one side. In the next second, he suddenly raised his hand and pressed his tender palm against the door of light. He did say that no one could take his life easily, not even a split soul. He also promised her that he wouldn't do anything reckless. But he would never do anything reckless when it came to her. Furthermore, he would not allow these filthy ghosts to obtain the power of his soul. Buzz! As little Mingzun pressed his hand on the light door, the inscription lines in the light door were all activated. At the same time, the Dead Soul King was also sent flying. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.